Alright. Right, shalom, shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Waharaka Kadash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers out there on the highways and the byways teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. Now, one of the things that we teach our people, which is the truth, is that we are currently in the lands of our captivity. We are in captivity. We are under the sovereignty of other nations, beginning with the so-called white man. Okay, this is a fact. Now, the programming that is that we think we were in slavery. We were, because we only identify slavery in one particular form, which is the plantation, hardcore bondage slavery. That's the only slavery that we acknowledge, even though the whole idea of paying income tax is a form of slavery, especially when you're paying income tax to a foreign power, which is what, if you're a so-called African American, yeah, you this is the lie. When you pay your income tax, right, you pay your taxes. You're paying taxes to a foreign power because you are foreign to the people that own and control the United States of America. They don't consider you to be the same people, even though they put a label on you and give you a passport. That's all bullshit. The fact of the matter is that you are the children of the people that their forefathers enslaved and assimilated under their structure. You understand? All right. So even when you go back to the plantations, you had Jakes who had certain skills that they were rented out by their plantation owner, and they actually earned money. See, earning money doesn't mean that you're not a slave. They earned money, but a portion of the money they earned was paid to their plantation owner. Now, the portion of the money that you earn is paid to the government because your ownership was transferred from private hands into the hands of the government, and the government is owned by private hands. That's why when an employer employs you, they have to follow what's known as what? Employment law. The reason they have to follow employment law is because you do not belong to them. You belong to the government. So they have to use you because they're borrowing, according to the government, because they borrowed you from the government. That's the truth. That's why you got your social security number, your ID, all that stuff. Because the private corporation doesn't own you as a slave. The government does. You understand? So this is still captivity. But in this captivity that we're in, we have more what's known as more liberties that have been afforded to us. But that's all it is. It's a liberty that they gave you and they can also take away. All right? Anytime someone's giving you liberty, right, that means you're under their power because they gave you that liberty and therefore they can take it away. It's just like how it is with your children. You could give your children liberties, but you can also take them away. They didn't give themselves those liberties. A true sovereign gives themselves liberties. Esau, Edom, and the elites of Edom, nobody gives them liberties. They give themselves liberties. They are the power and the authority. All right. So a lot of our people don't understand that. They don't realize that they're still in captivity, and therefore these people have not changed. All right, which is scriptural. This is Jeremiah 50 and 33. It says, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel," sorry, the children of Israel and the children of Judah. In here, the children of Israel represents the 10 tribes, and the children of Judah represents the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. It says they were oppressed together, right? Right. This is talking about in Babylon the Great, because all the tribes are in Babylon the Great, especially now because you got so many of our people from South America on a daily basis by the thousands running up into America to thinking that captivity in America is better than captivity where they are, which may or may not be true for some of them. Yeah, all right. And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Esau at no point has let you go from under the sphere of his power and his influence and his authority. And that's why he never provided you, Jakes, with economic freedom. He designed it so that you could think you were free, but you still needed him and you still look to him for everything that you require. You still have to beg him. Even to this day, you protest to get something from him. He doesn't protest to get something from you, he just takes it. You understand? That's the difference. Right? Now, how do we know they haven't let us go? Because even though we're still in captivity, the whole time, remember, this New World Order plan isn't new. The New World Order goes back to 1776 and the formation of the Illuminati, right? The plans that you see happening now, all the technology and the infrastructure, these crafty devices are not new, right? This is an overall plan that Esau Edom has envisioned and had for 100 years or more. It just took them time to develop that plan and develop the technology necessary and the infrastructure necessary to get to the point where now they're gonna implement that plan. So you got to think about this all the way through civil rights and all that stuff where you, Jake, think that Esau was changing and he was giving you something. Behind closed doors, they had the plan to chip you. They had the plan to put you under the New World Order, which is hardcore slavery. They were drawing up all those plans at the same time, which shows you this man never changed. All right? Because they didn't just come up with this shit yesterday. All right, let me just finish this because I want to read this. Their Redeemer is strong. We have a Redeemer. That's Yahweh Shai, right? And his Father. The Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. And this Babylon here represents today Babylon the Great, which is America. And the Lord surely is going to discomfort them because the Lord is going to destroy them and their plans. You know, this is Job 5 and 12. It said, he disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. These elites, right, have held councils for generations about getting to the point where we are now to implement their new world order using their technologies, man. Like the MOTB, the mark of the beast, and the system that it represents is not something that they came up with 10, 20, or 30 years ago. They came up with this stuff before the technology because it was visions, it was given to them. They came up with this stuff before that. That's why they were able to do sci-fi programs and sci-fi books, the dystopian stuff depicting this, because they already knew exactly what they wanted to do and they did a diligent search. Hold on, let's get that. What's it? Psalms this is 60, this is 64. Right. This is Psalm 64 and 5. It says they encourage themselves in an evil matter. That evil matter that they are encouraging themselves in is basically they want the birthright which was given to us. And our birthright, Jacob's birthright, is beyond blessed. It is the definition of being blessed because our birthright is to be the royal people on earth and to rule over all people. To be the stewards over the earth forever. That is our birthright. To rule with power forever. And that's what Esau wants. Esau wants to rule with power forever. Right? But that's not his birthright. That's our birthright. He wants to be the representation of God on earth. But that's not his birthright. That's our birthright. As a prince, we have power with God. We're going to be the representation of God on earth. Powers on the earth to rule completely. And that's the kingdom of heaven. That's our birthright. That's what the Lord has bestowed upon us. Esau wants that for himself, but he thinks he can achieve it through his own wisdom. And his wisdom is what? His witchcraft and his technology, which is almost one and the same. Both things are fused together. Right? Esau operates with witchcraft and technology combined. All right. And so that's how they got together. That's what the Illuminati was all about. So since 1776, they have done nothing but led themselves towards this point. And they've passed that down onto their children, and their children have continued the work. to build up this technology, to build up this infrastructure, right? It says they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily because they've done well to hide their true intentions from the world. They've done well. That's why you got people, Jake, for all this time, right? They've been voting for what? The Democrats. And they hate the Republicans. And now they want to start loving the Republicans and hating the Democrats because they love Trump. Listen, the Democrats and the Republicans don't exist. That is a theater that they provide for the people to be confused. There is no such thing as Democrats and Republicans in reality. Those are falsehoods. That's no different to Vince McMahon and like them man are in the back, brethrens, and Vince McMahon comes in. All right, you're gonna turn heel and you're gonna be the baby face, and then when that don't work, because it's all about getting the crowd emotionally. When wrestling is all about entertainment and getting the crowd emotionally invested. So if a guy's really good at being a heel, yeah, then you turn him heel and you see how he does. Now, if he can get the crowd to really hate him, then that's a good heel. And then you get a good baby face, and what you get is drama, and the people will pay to see like the drama. But there might come a point where it becomes stale. So what do? You inject more drama. You turn the heel into a baby face, and you turn the baby face in a heel. And that's why I say if you look at the career of most popular wrestlers, they will hardly ever be a baby face throughout their entire career. There'll always be a point where they'll turn heel. But do you think their actual persona changes when they go from baby face to heel? No. It's just they're doing whatever Vince McMahon tells them to do for the good of the business, for the entertainment value, to keep the people engaged. Booker T at one point was a babyface. Then they turned him into King Booker. He was a heel. And there's other instances I can give you. Even The Rock, at one point, they tried to turn The Rock heel, but the dude was so damn charismatic, yeah, that even when he was a heel, people loved him like he was a babyface. It's crazy, because The Rock's charisma was just on a different level back in them days in WWE. They failed to even turn him into a heel. Hey, it was mad back in them days, man. Rock could do nothing wrong. You know, people still loved him when he was trying to be heel. Is that shit, right? So it's the same concept when you're dealing with these politics, man. They have people to play different roles, and it's all about the Hegelian dialectic, manipulating the people. But behind closed doors, they're all really working towards the same goal. Even if they come out and say like, so you might get a senator say, "Oh, I'm against the CBDC." What's his name? What's that Don's name? Yeah, that's his name. Republican Tom Emmer. He's anti-CBDC bill. He's just playing that role. He's playing that role in the Hegelian dialectic. But at the end of the day, right, what the elites want to be synthesized will be synthesized. It's just this is part of how they do it. They make it look like it's controlled opposition. They make it look like there's some kind of opposition. Like this guy Ron Paul audit the Fed. Ron Paul was always a plant, man. He wasn't serious, man, and he was never really gonna get any serious political power. He was just there to be controlled opposition. It's a joke, but now our people want to start jumping on the Republican bandwagon. Listen, I'll tell you this for free: the Republicans and the Democrats behind closed doors, they're all just Satanists, man, and illuminaries, man, and they're gonna do the bidding of the elites. Simple as that, right? Yeah, you know what I mean? You just good cop, bad cop. Both of them, man, want to put you in jail. Go look up the good cop. Good cop, bad cop is there to confuse you. Oh, this cop's on my side and this one's against me. So that no, they're both against you. Both of them want to get like want to put your ass in jail, man. You know what I'm saying? Because they both work for the fucking police, man. So there ain't no good cop, bad cop. They're together. They're a brotherhood, man. You think it's a these people, man. You know what I'm saying? It says they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. They had a plan, a vision for this new world order, for the most hardcore form of slavery there ever is, to solidify their power in the earth, to be like gods in the earth. That's why the scripture says, they say what? They will be like the Most High. They want to be all seeing and all knowing and all powerful. And how do they do that? They want to be able to achieve that through technology, which the technology is just a shadow of what the technology that the Most High already has. The Most High already has CCTV. He already has the the Urim and the Thummim was basically tapping into the Most High's frequency. The Most High already has Google. Yahweh Shai used Google. How do you think Yahweh Shai knew that woman had 7 husbands before? How did he know things? Man, he was tapping into that. I call it the spiritual Google. The essence, man, the knowledge, the information is there. He just tapped into it. Esau's trying to make his own data and collect his own data of information that he could tap into. But the Most High already got a database. The Most High, everything they got is low level. The Most High already has the hairs. Listen, the scripture says even the very hairs on our head are counted in real time. The Most High already, the scripture say the Lord is present in the time of danger? That means the Most High is real time. There ain't no lag. The Most High already got the low latency. The Most High hear you before you even. The Lord is in the present, the past, present, and the future. He already is, but they're trying to be like the Most High using what technology? But that technology had to take time to develop and then to push out there into the world, especially if you're pushing it into the world in a way that seems natural and unconnected, so to speak. So all these different infrastructures are being built, but people don't know that all these infrastructures are really coming together to put you in slavery. Otherwise, you wouldn't build them. You'd be like, no, we ain't doing that. That's just going to put me in slavery. No, they want you to think it's for convenience or it's for this, it's for that. They ain't going to just come out and straight tell you, listen, we want to put all of you in hardcore slavery, and even down to the amount of strokes you give your wife, or if you even have a wife, we're going to control everything. Everything you do is going to be under our control. Everything's going to be permissioned. That's really what it's going to be. Even down to the amount of breaths you can take. This is how these devils operating, man. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Right now, which one? Let's look at the MOTB now. This is saying biometrics are replacing IDs in airports, backing them for government services. Now they're already biometric IDs. The UK passport for the longest one has been electronic, and biometric means all your biometric information is on the RFID, which is in your passport. All right, so I'm gonna show you, and I've used these. And what they did is when you got these e-passports, they have fast track gates. And so if you got the old passport, you got to go through the long thing because the humans got to check you over. If you got the e-passport, you go through the fast track, and it's easy. Like I remember one time when brothers we were going, me and the elder Ramah, we was going through to Belgium, so we had to use the Euro Star, man, and it was easy. You just put your passport down, it scans the biometric, the RFID on your passport to check your biometric data, and then it has a face scanner and that there, and it will scan you, so it knows the owner of the passport is the same as the person that's standing in front of them. And that's the same way the MOTB is going to work. You're going to be able to tap your hand, your RFID. Your RFID is going to be connected to your biometric data. So then they'll have another device there, that like CCTV, that can check to see that the person, your RFID matches who you are. And there's a movie like that called what's called Imposter, where they were walking along the street, and as you're walking along the street, the device is picking up your RFID and showing your biometric data. So if your biometric data you can't use someone else's chip, because the chip here won't match you. And it's like a 2-factor security system. Let's play this.
E-passport gates. For quicker.
And remember, the idea of passports, right, is an ancient idea, but the going back into, if you were doing work for a king or a queen, they would give you a passport. And on that passport, it basically means that you could travel through different lands, and you show them that passport, and they would know that you are traveling on the protection of the Queen. So if they fuck with you, then they fucking with the Queen, and that's where you get a passport from. It wasn't really something that you're supposed to. Everyone needs to travel, but now what happened is through World War I, they made it where everyone had to have a passport, and the people didn't want it. Yeah, because ultimately it's like, in fact, another. Okay, the people didn't want it because they knew it's like, why do I need to produce ID who I am to the government? Like, what the hell's going on? But they only agreed to it because of the World War, and they promised them that after the World War they wouldn't be no passports. But here we are today, because that's what they wanted: problem, reaction, solution. They wanted you to start having to walk around with ID and ID to travel and ID for this and that and everything, because it's all about having the people numbered and controlled. That's the ultimate reason why. And then also you go back into the plantations, you would be given a passport on a plantation which would allow you to travel from one plantation to another. And that's basically what the passport does today. The passport allows you to travel from one constituency, from one plantation to another. Because like I said, the plantation is now the country of your citizenship. Yeah?
And smarter entry into the UK. To get through passport control quicker,
It's smarter, which the word smart means painful, because intelligence can cause pain. You when you're an intelligent person, you can come up with ways to inflict pain on a man, right? To be sharp, yeah, to be smart.
you can use the e-passport gates if you are eligible. To use the e-passport gates, you must be 18 or over and a UK or EU citizen. You must also
Ain't in the EU no more.
have this symbol on your passport. Citizens of EEA member states and Switzerland can also use the e-passport gates. You can also use the e-passport gates if you are a registered traveller. Before the e-passport gates, please remove your passport from any covers. Remove hats or sunglasses. You may need to remove your glasses. Wait for the green light to show which gate to use. Enter one person at a time. There are usually staff near the e-passport gates who can help you if needed. Open your passport to the photo page. Hold the photo page face down on the reader.
The reason you're doing that is like, what it's doing is scanning the picture on the thing, but really what it also is doing is reading the RFID, because that photo page is actually a RFID page.
Keep it still and in position. Look ahead at the screen. Please continue to look until it turns green. Remove your passport.
See, what's going to happen is eventually you're not going to have the passport at all. You just have to have the chip, and the chip is going to have the information on it, or be able to be or permission to access that information. You know what I'm saying? So the chip can then access your biometrics on the cloud. Do you understand?
Walk through the gate.
Let's go back, right? So it says biometrics replacing IDs in airports, backing them for government services. So a lot of government services now, you can just use your digital ID. Face biometrics continuing to underpin advances, speeding travelers through airports, with Edemia participating in digital ID pilot for travel and tipping the capabilities of the next generation scanners. National digital ID programs were also in the news with ID Day approaching. Kenya is starting again, Ethiopia is moving ahead, and the Philippines is getting phones with biometric technology from TOTM. An interview with Onfidel's CRO, a major change. So this infrastructure is global, and it's being built throughout the world. Right? That's why mobile phones and so forth are what they are. There's a reason why they have become ubiquitous. It's not just because it's a good product. They wanted it to be like that, because all these devices are necessary if you're going to have a technological slavery. You need that technology everywhere. You need cameras everywhere, drones everywhere, internet everywhere. You need the infrastructure because that forms the backbone of your oppression, right? Let's look at this. No meat, no dairy, and 3 outfits a year. Welcome to Sadiq Khan's plan for London, right? They've been doing a lot of madness in London, but I already knew. I was told, transport for London. If you're on the inside, I was told a few years ago that yep, their plan was get rid of as much driving lanes as possible, replace it with cycle lanes, and everyone will basically use public transport or rent vehicles or scooters. So they don't want people really owning cars. They want you to rent a car, yeah, or use Uber. They want to reduce the amount of people that own cars, right? They want that where you pay for everything, pay as you go. And you see that coming in now, congestion charging, ULEZ. And the people are fighting back against it, man, because bear man are just breaking down them ULEZ cameras, man. The seditious fellows will play their part. It's not all gonna go Esau's way. And they know that there's gonna be people that are going to fight against it. Even people, there are going to be people that are going to reject the MOTB. That's not men of the Lord. But they're not going to reject it because the Most High said to reject it. They're just going to reject it because they're fucking rebellious, man. And they have to play that path as being rebellious, seditious fellows that fight against the government no matter what. Yeah, so you're gonna get people that's just gonna be they're there to just fight against the government, man, and to kill and be killed. That's just how it's gonna be. Right? No meat, no dairy, 3 outfits a year. Welcome to the Khan's plan for London. C40, a global group of city mayors chaired by Sadiq Khan. So this is just some other non-governmental organization that the elite set up to guide these clowns. Has a radical vision of net zero, right, that critics say will restrict personal choice. Now, net zero is just another way. That whole carbon footprint and net zero is another way of just saying that we want to control all human activity. Because like I explained, we are carbon-based life forms. The Most High made it where all biological life is based upon carbon. Yeah, that's an actual term. Hold on, that's an actual term. All right, and the lack of education is another thing why the average person just doesn't understand. They can't put two and two together. The average person in the West, yeah, with access to all the information they have access to, and they just can't put two and two together. They're complete morons, man. Carbon-based life. Carbon is a primary component of all known life on Earth, representing approximately 45 to 50% of all dry biomass. So we're like 45 to 50% carbon. We're carbon-based life forms. That's why the carbon cycle is a part of the life cycle. You breathe out carbon. Do you know what I'm saying? Plants take in carbon and use it to make food. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like you burn wood, it produces carbon dioxide. Cause there's bare carbon in wood. There's carbon in oil and all that stuff. Carbon is it's set up, right? And by the way, carbon, the number of carbon is 666, which is the number of man. It's flesh. Yeah. If you look at carbon, uh, as a I believe it's got 6 protons, six neutrons. There we go. The atomic number 6. I'm sure it's got 6. Yeah. Esau wants to be the lord of the flesh, man. He's not a spiritual man. Wait. I'm pretty sure physical probabilities. Where is it, man? Some of my science is a bit rusty still, but I'm pretty sure it's got 6 protons. I just wanted it to say it, but 6 protons. Anyway, it is what it is. You can look it up later. The atomic number 6. So yeah, the atomic number 6. Then yeah, it's got 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and something else. Anyway, yeah, that's not. But the point is, so carbon is life is based upon carbon and the carbon cycle. Yeah, and the carbon cycle balances itself out. So if there's too much carbon on one end or one part of the cycle, it balances itself out. For instance, if there's too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, then more carbon dioxide will be absorbed into the sea and transfixed into rocks and so on and so forth. It's a fucking cycle that balances itself. The Most High made it perfect. All right. In fact, more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, what that causes is actual more plant growth, because plants, a plant grows based upon the what's it called, certain elements that it needs to grow. So plants need a certain amount of warmth, they need a certain amount of water, they need a certain amount of nutrients in the soil, they need a certain amount of carbon dioxide. Now, if you reduce any of those elements that they need to grow, you reduce the growth. So how you maximize growth is by maximizing those elements. And one of those elements is carbon dioxide. So more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere actually stimulates more growth. As long as, the other elements is there, like water and so forth. All right. And then so that more growth fixes more carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and into a solid state. So that's why it's a cycle, it's balanced. Like more CO, if you put more CO2 into the atmosphere, then more trees and plants will grow to take it back out of the atmosphere. It balances itself out. Obviously there's a delay and a lag, but it does balance itself out. All right, you got your carbon cycle. You put a little factory there, fossil fuels and all that bullshit, man. They love that shit. Yeah, it's a cycle. You go look it up. It's very interesting stuff. Yeah, you see there, vegetation takes carbon dioxide out, puts it into the soil and all that kind of stuff. You got the sea, sediments, all that good stuff. Storage, right? That's why a lot of rocks have carbon dioxide in them. Sandstones and stuff like that, they interact with acids to produce carbon dioxide, because there's carbon transfixed in them sandstones and all that stuff. Okay, so when Esau's telling you about net zero and all that bullshit, like what he's basically saying is, I'm gonna control your human activity, right? Which is slavery. When you want to control someone's, and that's worse than slavery. That's hardcore. That's hardcore to the, when you want to control everything about a man, everything down to the man's breathing. That's crazy, right? Picture the scene: you have just made it through the door from work, although not by car because private vehicles no longer exist. Yet they don't want. That's why they said you will own nothing. You will own nothing. They're really coming out and telling you now. Now that's slavery. You change out of your work clothes into something more comfortable, perhaps one of 3 new items of clothing you're allowed to buy every year. And they showed you that in Star Trek and all them things. Everyone's wearing the same stuff. See, all this choice is going to be eliminated. All this choice is going to be eliminated, and you're just going to be designated some garments. Then it's downstairs for dinner, since all this virtue is hungry work. But don't forget that meat and dairy are all off the menu. So instead, you might like to daydream about getting away from it all, only to remember that you used up your quota of one short-haul return flight every 3 years last summer. This is the radical vision of net zero, future dreamed up by C40, a global collective of city mayors chaired by Sadiq Khan, which advocates extreme measures to have greenhouse gas emissions, to halve greenhouse gas emissions, that's halving human activity, by 2030, and limit global temperature increase to 1 point. That global temperature shit, they can just fix that anyway. That's all bullshit. ClimateGate proved that. The mayor of London is, of course, no stranger to pushing the dial on climate change. His unrelenting, and it's not him. He's been given this role to play. This is something that they'd come up with since 1776. His unrelenting expansion of the ULEZ ultra-low emission zone in August faced down major criticism from affected businesses, disadvantaged citizens, and vigilante vandals. But they don't care. They are willing to sacrifice everything to bring in this new world order. The people, everything. They're willing to bring chaos and destruction if it means that they can have their birthright. Sacrifice. They don't care. Khan is showing no signs of slowing down. This week, plans were unveiled to lower the speed limit to 20 miles per hour on further 40 miles of roads in London. And it's mad driving around road. Imagine you're trying to get home. Like, I come home late at night at certain times. Well, all the time now. It's mad. Yeah. And it's like, if the taxi driver comes through, like, man, them that's from London know what I'm talking about. When you're coming through, like, the Tower Hill area, coming along the river, right? Not only did they remove a bunch of lanes so that there's less lanes, they reduced the speed limit down to like 20 miles per hour. So you're driving through, flipping 2 in the morning, right? There's reduced lanes, and even if there's no traffic, you're still moving at 20 miles per hour. And you're trying to get home so you get some fucking sleep. And it's like, even the taxi drivers is like, this is bullshit, man. Oh, we'd be halfway there already, but we gotta be holding these fucking speed limits because of emissions. This is bullshit. Right? On a further 40 miles of roads in London, the capital's largest ever rollout to date. And that's why they want these new cars. These new cars, you won't be able to go any faster. Since December 2021, he has led C40, which is made up of the mayors of 96 cities from 6 different continents. You see what I mean? It spends its time conducting research, holding conferences, and drawing up climate action plans, and was originally founded by the then Mayor of London, Ken Livingstone, in 2005. It merged the following year with the similar body set up by former US President Bill Clinton, and its current board president is Michael Bloomberg, the US billionaire. Its website lists the British Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office as a major funder, among several other government charities and multinational companies. Yeah, this is just how the elites funnel the money into their projects. Yeah. In 2019, when Khan was vice chairman, C40 commissioned a startling study by the University of Leeds and Europe, a consultancy about how cities could slash their emissions by 2030. Citizens' consumption habits were its central focus, and it set out a range of progressive and ambitious targets. Its more radical suggestions involve no less than the abolition of private vehicles, the prohibition of meat and dairy consumption, the rationing, which we told you that the MOTB is a rationing system as well, the rationing of new items of clothing to 3 each per year, and the restriction of short-haul return flights to 1 every 3 years. It also proposed slashing the use of steel and cement in construction and significantly increasing the proportion of buildings made from wood. Disregarding the major restrictions this would place on attempts to solve the housing crisis by building more homes. But they don't care about more homes because they're about to depopulate. Khan has not proposed implementing these suggestions, but to his critics, the report is emblematic of C40 as an unelected, self-appointed body which holds radical. But this is the problem. It doesn't matter who's elected because the elected people are run by unelected people. And this is the point. But what I'm trying to say is this. These men, right, through the MOTB, want to put you in the most hardcore form of slavery ever envisioned in the history of the planet Earth. And you need deliverance from that. You best believe that you do. These devils have not changed. They're the same old devil doing the same old devil shit. Revelations 13 and 16. And he calls them all. And this is what he wants to do. He wants to cause all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, which is going to be that implantable RFID chip. That chip is what's going to connect you into the Internet of Things and the Internet of Bodies. and that no man might buy or sell. Buying or selling is basically all everything. That's basically all human activity. You ain't gonna be able to take part in the goods and services of this society, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So all systems, your social system, your all systems, the financial, everything's gonna be connected into one thing, and you're gonna be controlled like by that. They're gonna have full control over your daily life and your every activity, and then they're gonna have devices which monitor you because they can put devices in your body that monitor your blood work. They can monitor your blood pressure. They can monitor your steps, you sleep, everything. In fact, your phone and your watches all do that now anyway, and all of that can be connected. You see, because it's the Internet of Things. Right. So the point is that everything's moving forward. The infrastructures are being built, yeah, and we're at the point where they are gonna bring in major crisis, which they're already doing, to so that they can push this thing through. And what they're pushing through ain't nothing good. But the beautiful thing is that you know the Lord made a sacrifice that the elect will not be claimed by this man. You know, that's the beautiful thing, that yeah, he got these plans to put our people in perpetual captivity, but the Lord had already made a sacrifice to deliver us from captivity, and that's why his plans are gonna come a cropper, right? Revelations 12:11, it says, "And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death." So we overcame this man already through what? The blood of the Lamb. So we're not through guns and technology and all these things. Like we overcome this man already because the Lord made a sacrifice that we may be delivered in these last days from captivity. All right, and that's why the elect are not gonna be chipped, are not gonna be introduced into this system. The Lord is going to destroy this system. And then the elect are going to be blessed with the blessing that the Lord had prepared for us. Lord willing, I'm one of those people. All right. But we at that time, man. And this devil ain't ever changed. This has always been his intention for over 100 years. So all you man that thought that this man had a change of heart at any point in recent history, you done lost your mind. In behind the scenes, in the background, where we are now, right, has been done step by step from decade to decade. Regardless of who was in power or what company, notice the overall agenda has always continued and led to this point, which shows you the same people have been in power and have been running shit. Simple as that. So with that, I'm gonna say shalom.